Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. This is a really special episode because as this airs, it is officially my birthday week. So this week is a really fun week for me. I'm actually away on a vacation, really just enjoying my time and celebrating me, which something that we all need to be doing on a daily basis, especially around our birthdays, I think, to make extra special. And when I was thinking about this episode and thinking about the timing of it being right on my birthday week, really what came forth for me was this really powerful, beautiful conversation that we need to have. We need to have this around how we celebrate situations, how we celebrate ourselves, but also how we treat and reward ourselves. And I know so many women, every single client that comes to work with me has this built-in default to treat and reward themselves with sugar and to celebrate with sugar. So I want to have this conversation today. I think it's just perfect timing with my birthday week being here. So thank you in advance, everyone who's sending me lovely birthday notes. I love it. I welcome it all. And it's a really fun time just to reflect back on my year and honor myself. And one of the things that we're actually doing is, like I said, taking a full week vacation, which I will fully admit is something I have not done in years. We'll take extended weekends and really take days off. I have a lot of downtime and a lot of time for joy and fun. But the full week, is actually a little bit scary to me. It's a longer period of time, but also really exciting. We're going to just really drop in, have fun. We're doing a little bit of a road trip, actually going back through my hometown and reliving some pieces of my past as well, which will be really fun. I haven't done that in over 10 years now. So looking forward to it on that note. And this is one of the ways that I now choose to celebrate, right? Without needing sugar, is going away on a trip, going on an adventure. I know for me, that really lights me up. That is, what fills me and fuels me, is having adventures, exploring new areas, going on new hikes, and doing that, with friends, with my loved ones. And it just is such a beautiful way to honor. So happy birthday to me. The insight, though, that comes from this, and this is what we're going to be talking about today, obviously, like I just mentioned, around celebration and rewards and treats and how we can break those patterns when it comes to sugar. But the insight that I wanted to share with you today is actually something like this morning I was sitting, just sitting here prepping for this episode, thinking about what am I doing lately? What's something that's coming up for me lately that's making a really big impact in my life? And what came up is the boundaries that I am continuing to practice setting around my phone and social media use. So this is a big topic that we could definitely do a whole nother episode on, but I think it's so important to remember that our phones and social media and our emails and our notifications and our dings, every time we engage with that, we step out of ourselves. We are completely disconnecting from ourselves. And the more we do that, and this is where they're now linking, right, increased anxiety and depression and mental health issues with this addiction to social media and these addictions to our phone, which is a whole nother addiction aside from sugar addiction. And being able to have healthy boundaries around that is actually so freeing. And I know in the beginning it can seem really scary because our phones can seem like a lifeline, but it's something that I've been working at for the last couple of years, and I'm still definitely not perfect. I mean, that phone still has its pull on me. But one of the things that I've recommitted to this year is keeping my phone in a different room of the house. So I'm here in my office. My phone is not here with me. Sometimes it comes in if I have to make a call or something, but it lives actually in our laundry room. We have a whole phone station, and that's where all of our tech, our phones live, so that I can be more intentional when I want to go and post something on Instagram, or I can go and check in on messages or calls. That said as well, it's always on silent. I have no notifications on. I don't get the dings. I haven't done that in years because immediately I noticed in my body, it would just elicit anxiety. It'd be like, ooh, somebody needs me. and they're more important than what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go and look at my phone, right? It's designed to just pull us out of ourselves all day, every day. So one of the things that you're working on is coming back into yourself, reconnecting with yourself, and spending more time in stillness, and just being more present in life. You've got to start taking a hard look at how much your phone is in your hand or always with you on a daily basis. And also start looking at these silly beliefs that we have. I've dealt with this, these beliefs like, well, if I don't have my phone on me all day, what if something bad happens and somebody needs to get a hold of me? What if somebody dies, right? Like, my parents are getting older now. There's a real possibility something bad happens. And the real truth of it is that that is so rare. Right. And if something bad happens, that person also has other people to contact, or you can let them know. So one of the things Ben and I actually do is Fridays, we're completely offline all day. We have our phones off all day. And I've told the people in my life that need to know that. I've told them, you can't get a hold of me on Fridays. That is our day to be disconnected and be together. So you can communicate these boundaries, right? Set them with yourself, communicate them with others, people that are used to you replying to text messages every 5 minutes, or immediately. Just let them know, hey, I'm going to be stepping back from my phone in an effort to really reground myself and feel happier. And, I'll get back to you within 24 hours, or, set some sort of new expectation or precedent, but have those conversations. Step one is setting that boundary for yourself, right? And I need a physical boundary because having that phone here in front of me, still, like, I want to pick it up and check things. So it's still that physical boundary. I've also deleted a lot of apps off my phone. I no longer have Facebook or my email on my phone. So when I'm out and about, I'm not tempted to check those things. It's only for urgent messages and texts and phone calls and things like that. So what can you delete off your phone that's not actually necessary so you can be more intentional? It forces me to be more intentional when I go and engage on social media, when I have to come into my office, open my computer, fire it up, right? Type in the website address and go in. So putting those blocks in place can be so empowering and so freeing. So it's okay. The message here and reminder and insight for all of you is that it's so okay to disconnect from your phone and from technology in general, your computer, your laptop, TVs. Like, this is so important. And this is almost becoming like a lost art when we talk about our mental health and even our addictive patterns towards sugar. They stem from this inner tornado that's always going on, right? They stem from this emotional stress and anxiety and not feeling connected to ourselves. Like, there's this void, so we fill it with sugar. And all of these things are exasperated and made worse by constantly having our phone on us, constantly checking social media, constantly, being on all the time. So please give yourself permission to turn it off. Give yourself permission to connect back with you, to connect back with nature, to be in the real moment that you're in and not outside of yourself. And set those boundaries and let the people know who need to know. It is so freeing. And it's just amazing. I mean, the experiments that I've done even in my own life on days when we take the whole day not going online or being connected with our phones at all, it's just amazing to notice, even in my body, the sense of joy and calm and connection that comes on those days versus days where I'm like in a million places at once. So it's really, really amazing testament. And you'll notice this too. I mean, it creates more space for fun and joy and laughter, right? When we're not just always getting sucked down toxic channels, right? And unfortunately, a lot of what we see online these days is toxic. So really, really great place to start with this. If anybody's like having a panic attack right now, like, I could not put my phone down, it scares me. Just acknowledge that resistance. That's okay. These devices are built to be very addictive, and we've been they almost feel like a part of us, right? So just notice that resistance. And I would say hands down, the most important place to start building in a boundary is first thing in the morning. This is something that I haven't done for years, so I often forget this until my clients remind me that they do this, and then we work on this together. But if you are someone who picks your phone up first thing in the morning, right? And the first thing that you're filling your head, your energy body with is stressful emails, social media posts, like totally outside of yourself, this is a really, really important place to start. The first moments of your day, hopefully the first hour of your day, is completely about you. Grounding in your day, setting your intentions for how you want to feel that day, looking after you, maybe meditating, going for a walk, really just being with you in the morning is really, really important to set yourself up for a successful day and a grounded and relaxed day. I notice the days where I still get caught in this trap. I'll check my email first thing in the morning or, check in social media and I see one thing that causes me anxiety or stress and that sets my whole day up to be on that stressful roller coaster. Versus the days where I ground and connect with myself first in the morning, how much more capable I am at being able to deal with bad news or stressful things that maybe I see online later in the day. It's a really, really powerful experiment. If you've never tried that before, try it. Leave your phone on airplane mode if you use it for an alarm to get up in the morning. That's I do, but it stays on airplane mode. You can even leave it like on the dresser across the room so it's not literally right on your nightstand and you got to get up, and just put it in a different room. After that alarm goes off, leave it in the bedroom, right? Leave it in the bedroom, go do your thing and then come back for it, as later, the later the better, right? Like, give yourself 10 minutes if you're just starting out, but build that up to half an hour to an hour in the morning before you're even checking anything online. So that is your little insight and reminder for today. That's really such a powerful tool that so many of us forget how much that device actually brings us anxiety and stress, right? And it doesn't actually fuel us, right? And it's a whole nother addiction. We're going to talk, we'll have to do a whole nother episode on digital detox, right? But for today, let's dive into today's episode, okay? I want to know, have you ever celebrated, a birthday or a promotion at work or an anniversary without food? Have you ever celebrated without food? And more specifically, without sugar? That includes alcohol. Probably not, okay? The answer there is probably not. We live in a society where sugar and alcohol and food is in every event and celebration, right? Whether we're celebrating alone on a Friday night for having a great week at work, or we're celebrating with a group of people for your birthday, for instance, right? This is so ingrained in everywhere, how we celebrate. And it's almost like there is this deep-rooted connection, right? A neural pathway that tells us connection and celebration and joy are all intertwined. So we're running on this old software that says, in order to feel joy or in order to celebrate something, which by the way that's the emotion that goes with celebration, right? Is it's joy. Like we're wanting to feel joy. We want to celebrate ourselves to feel that sense of joy and maybe accomplishment or some other beautiful emotions that are coming with that. So we have this deep link, right? That in order to feel joy, I need to have sugar. I need to have a glass of wine. And therefore, they've become so intertwined, that and the patterning, right? This is how everybody around us and everybody in the movies celebrates anything. It's with food. It's going out for dinner and drinks with your friends. It's having dessert, right? And ever since childhood, like all of these things that we talk about here on the podcast have started in childhood, right? It's actually created a false sense of joy. So sugar is not joy. In case you didn't know that, here's your reminder. Sugar is not really joy. It may be a quick dopamine hit followed by a crash afterwards. But there's something about it energetically that just brings in this sense of like celebration. And I think it's so important to just start questioning this. And this is what I want you to do in this episode, is just to start questioning, how do I celebrate? And how do I want to celebrate? Because I'm willing to bet you want to start lowering the amount of sugar you're eating. You want to start, really looking at these addictive patterns and behaviors. That's why you're listening to this podcast. So start reflecting on this. Get your journal out, just start being curious and inquisitive about, how do I elicit joy in my life? How do I celebrate? What have been ways that I celebrated in the past? and then starting to get clear on how you want to celebrate going forward. And I'm going to share at the end of this episode, I'm going to share a list of suggestions and tips and things that I personally do and that my clients have mentioned they do to celebrate in a way that doesn't need to involve food. Now, I'm not saying your celebrations going forward can never have food involved in them again. Absolutely not. If that is a choice of yours, that's fantastic. If it's your annual birthday party or, an anniversary, right? That comes around once a year. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you choose, and this is the sugar freedom lifestyle, right? You get to choose like, yeah, I'm going to have birthday cake on my birthday, right? But you need to also look at how often you're using that as an excuse. I caught myself doing this, which is why I'm sharing this, right? It's, yeah, my moderation with sugar is going to be on my birthday. And then before you knew it, it became whenever anybody else has a birthday. And when someone else is celebrating something and I want to join in, right? Which can quickly, if you work in an office, become every single week. And then you're having sugar every single week and you're really overdoing it. So really get clear on what those boundaries are for you if you are wanting that, but also, doing what you can to break those connections, right? Like for me, for my birthday, for instance, this week, I'm sure there'll be sugar as a part of it. I have not planned anything other than this bakery that I actually used to work at in my hometown that I'm definitely going to have a cinnamon bun. They're famous. So I'm doing that. And that is a choice and a decision of mine. And I have no idea if it's going to be on my birthday or not. It's not even tied to my birthday in my mind. It has nothing to do with celebration. It's just, that's where I'm going to be. And I haven't had that in 15 years. So I'm going to have one. So really, you can start reflecting on what this means to you and how this is showing up in terms of celebration and joy in your life. And then we get to build on this, okay? That's obviously just talking about celebrating. And by the way, you should be celebrating yourself every day. You're pretty amazing. Your body is amazing. It's still here. There's so much to be grateful for and celebrate along this journey to sugar freedom that every day there's, setting a healthy boundary. Or maybe today you didn't check your phone as much, right? Or today you had one healthy meal. Or you did your intermittent fast like you said you would today. I mean, you had good sleep. There's so much to celebrate when we start actually looking for those celebrations. But we need to learn how to actually feel that sense of joy and celebration from the inside out without needing a substance to get us there. Does that make sense? Right? Like we're using a substance to elicit these emotions that have nothing to do with the substance itself, right? These are internal emotions that we want to feel for ourselves. So we can do this and we can absolutely bring in, external factors. And like I said, I'm going to share a beautiful list with all of you of some tips to get you started. But we have to talk also about rewards and treats. Okay. This is one of the biggest patternings that I see every single human that I talk to. We have been taught that in order to treat ourselves or reward ourselves for a job well done, we must have sugar, right? How many of us, and I'm saying us because I'm included in this, would go to the gym and come home and reward yourself with some ice cream? I would do this all the time. I would go and work out. I would come home and be like, I'm going to reward myself with takeout tonight. I'm going to have pizza, right? Or I'm going to swing by Dairy Queen and get an ice cream, my favorite ice cream, because that was a really good workout. And I did this. I actually learned this patterning very young, being involved in soccer. So for those who don't know, I'm an avid soccer player. Well, I haven't in the last couple of years. It's been kind of tricky with the pandemic. But this was something that after every single soccer game, actually, it didn't matter if I played good or played bad, right? The whole team, we would go to the ice cream shop and we would have ice creams. Or, if that didn't happen, I'd come home and have candy, right? Or something because I played a good game, right? Or I got a good grade in school. I mean, how often does this happen? You did good at the dentist office. Here's a lollipop, right? Constantly, as children, this is the messaging that we got. When you do something good, when you're a good girl, you get a treat. And that treat is synonymous with sugar, which when we think about it, is not actually treating our bodies in a healthy way. It's not actually a treat to our bodies. It's actually a poison to our bodies. It's actually a toxin to our bodies. So we've got it a little bit backwards. And we need to start reflecting on where this is showing up. Where are you treating yourself? Like, this pattern is so deeply ingrained in all of us. Where is that reward center coming from, right? Like, where is that messaging still showing up for you today, right? Rewarding yourself after a good day. I can't tell you how many moms I've worked with that would reward themselves at the end of the day because the kids are still alive, which is great. You should feel accomplished and feel really proud that the kids are happy and healthy and now asleep in bed, right? Like, we do really desire and crave these sense of rewards and pride and deep love and connection for ourselves, but we're doing it in a way that's actually causing us more damage in the long run. And it's because sugar's so darn delicious and addictive. And this is what we've been taught. This is what we've been modeled in our households, with our friend groups, and society and movies. This is what people do, right? Something good happens. You want to celebrate a reward. You're going to go and get some wine and some cake and go out for dinner with friends. And it's just so much a part of that conversation. It's imprinted in us. And I want to encourage all of you to just spend some time reflecting on where that's showing up for you today. You know, where are you using sugar to treat yourself, reward yourself, and also to treat and reward the kids in your life? So any parents listening to this, please, zero room here. We have a hard boundary here at this on this podcast around guilt and shame. So if you notice that you're doing this with the kids in your life, whether they're yours or your grandkids, please do not go there. This is not a place to shame yourself. This is a place to go, oh, I didn't realize that I was doing that. I'm going to change that because I see this. This is so how we relate to kids. When a kid is good, we give them ice cream, right? We reward kids constantly with sugar because it's quick and easy and cheap, and it's what everybody else does, right? And it's what they want because of course they do. Their taste buds love sugar, right? That's where the addiction starts. So start thinking about this, not just for yourself. You know, how can I start treating and rewarding myself and celebrating differently without needing, quote unquote, needing food? And also, how can I start doing this with other people in my life, whether it's the kids in your life or other humans, adults in your life as well? You know, how do you treat someone on your team who's done a really good job or completed the project? I know one of the things that I love to do with my assistant is actually send her physical gifts in the mail that never have food in it. They're just really thoughtful, beautiful gifts, and it makes her feel so special and treated and rewarded. So really, you know, getting down and dirty with these questions and starting to think outside the box. And this is where most of us have just become so accustomed to being in this like treat, reward, sugar box that we don't know there's other options, but there are. I'm going to share a list with you here. You can hit Google and find thousands of other really creative ideas, especially when it comes to like rewarding children. And celebrating children, right? Did you know that you can host a scavenger hunt on someone's birthday without actually using sugar? You know, there's so many other things that you can hide or things they have to find, and then gifts that they can get that are not edible, right? And it's so beautiful. Again, it's just like the conversation where you're learning to take sugar out of your meals, right? And you start asking yourself, well, what else can I cook? Right? You start asking these open-ended questions. So what else can I treat and reward myself with? And just spend some time seeing what comes out, right? You might not know right away. You might be a bit like disconnected from this right away, but start this page in your journal, right? How else can I celebrate? How else can I treat and reward myself? And just see what comes out, right? And don't limit yourself. Start brainstorming and really allowing that to flow because there's so many ideas. Okay. And this, I want to mention one more thing here before I share the list and some suggestions with all of you, some top tips and rewards, is that this is all also tied into this whole desire that most of us carry around to be a good girl, right? There's almost like we feel like we have to reward ourselves when we're good. And then when we're bad, we punish ourselves, right? Like there is, and this is for a lot of us how we were, you know, taught in childhood, right? When you were good, you got a reward. When you were bad, you got punished, right? And this whole good girl mentality is probably something we'll have definitely another podcast on at one point in time. But it's just really important to understand that that is underlying a big part of this whole pathway, a neural pathway of treating and rewarding ourselves. It's really tied in with like when we're a good girl, we deserve something, right? There's this sense of deserving a treat as well, which is really interesting to start thinking about and questioning. You know, why do we feel like we deserve a reward at the end of a day? Like, what's this, like, why do I deserve anything after having a really good workout at the gym, right? Like, where's that pull as opposed to just being content and happy with that we just did something healthy for our body, right? The feeling of like, yeah, I just had a good workout. I feel strong and I feel good in my body. Like, why do we feel like there's a desire to have more than that, right? Like, why is that not enough? These are just questions that I ask myself, and I want you to start asking yourself, you know, why is there that drive to have something even more than that? How can like the feeling of like having a really productive day at work or doing that really good workout or playing a really good soccer game, like that feeling is pretty amazing. Why is that not enough? Why must there be more? Like, is it also tied into you not feeling like you're enough? There's a big one. Big conversation for another day. We're going to be definitely diving into limiting beliefs in the next couple weeks. And this, you know, all of this subconsciously is so powerfully intertwined if you can't see. So lots of questions for you to sit with and reflect on and really just spend some time with. And as you know, this podcast is not about just more information, right? This is about you taking what I'm sharing, taking these questions and spending time with them and actually taking action in your own life. So your homework action here is actually going to be starting your rewards and treats list. Now I'll share some ideas and suggestions with you right now. And these are just to get you started. I mean, this list, obviously the way that we treat and reward ourselves is going to be really different for each and every one of us, especially if you have a different love language, which we talked about in the last episode, right? If you really value quality time and adventures like I do, you're going to want to go on an adventure, right? To celebrate or to reward yourself. If you really love gifts, then maybe there's going to be a different way for you to treat and reward yourself with gifts, right? So this is really an act of showing love to yourself. And we've just gotten it so muddled in with sugar that we forgot to ask what else we can do. So this is your official reminder to start asking yourself, what else can I use here? So as you start creating these lists for yourself, really, really important that there's actually a couple different lists. And the reason I say that is because it can be really helpful to have items, say a list of things that are free to do, right? And then a list of things on the other end of that might cost a good amount of money and are bigger rewards, right? Sometimes like we have a different kind of need for smaller versus bigger rewards. So if you're just, you know, had a really good day at work or had a really good workout, or, you know, set a boundary today that you've never set in your life before and you're feeling really proud of yourself, that might warrant sort of a different reward or treat than getting a promotion or, you know, having something huge happen in your life, you know, losing 100 pounds and finally making it to your goal weight. You know, those things might warrant like a bigger celebration. So I think we need to have that kind of separated out, maybe making 3 lists, right? One with the things that are free to do, that don't cost any money, that you can do as often as you want, right? Some things that are maybe in the middle ground, financially speaking, and then some that are big investments, like in a program, right? Or in hiring your own coach or going on a big trip, you know, buying that $1,000 pair of boots. I don't know, right? Like whatever that is. So make those, you know, those tiers when you start doing this list, and then get clear on which ones are like for celebrating and which ones are for like treating and rewarding yourself. And oftentimes they'll overlap, right? They'll totally overlap. And it really is all about being intentional. So for example, my birthday trip that's coming up, in my mind, I'm being intentional. That trip is to celebrate me and to have fun and to treat myself after months and years of hard work. So that I know going into this trip is what it's all about. Like that's the energy that I'm bringing in is this celebration, this trip. That's the whole purpose of this trip. And it's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to bring that in every moment. So being intentional with this, right? And I love this, picking certain rewards and treats and attaching them to certain goals, right? So maybe your old habit is every Friday night you have ice cream because it helps you feel like you're rewarding yourself for a good week, right? So you can start saying, no, instead on Fridays, I'm going to buy myself flowers, or I'm going to plan a games night with my friends because that makes me feel really, really amazing. So those are two suggestions, right? Games night with friends, spending time with people that you love. Massages, like any body work, that's something that I love attaching to my reward and treat center. So, if after a successful program or, a client, something that we do, like I'll definitely book in a massage and go to that massage knowing in my mind that this is what it's tied to, that I'm celebrating this thing that I did or this accomplishment that I had. And that's why I'm here treating my body to this beautiful experience in massage. Obviously, you can do any body work that really gives you that. And at the same time, you're doing something that's really, really good for your body and really beautiful for your energy and your healing. And that's why I love it. I love those sorts of, and also one of my love languages is physical touch. So of course I want to go and do all the body work that I can. And to me, that feels really, really special. Buying yourself flowers is so simple and cheap. It doesn't have to be expensive, fancy bouquets, but just buying yourself a new plant or some flowers and really treating yourself that way is so, so nice. I had a client years ago when I first started coaching that's exactly what she did. She said, it was that every Friday when she went grocery shopping, she would reward and treat herself with buying a bunch of candy. So she started getting in the habit of buying herself a bouquet of flowers every week instead. And it really worked for her. She was like, wow, it just makes me so happy to see them on the counter. And I get to buy something that's not on my grocery list, right? Something special. And she was really craving that when she went to the grocery store. So that really worked for her. So that's such a beautiful one. Another gift and reward and treat that doesn't cost any money is actually giving yourself permission to take a day off or a night off. And I'm going to build this into actually the insight this week. Disconnect from your technology, right? Take the day offline, take the night off from technology and just gift yourself like some rest and gift yourself whatever you want to do, right? Sometimes we just live such a regimented life with go, 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 do, to-do lists all day long that giving yourself a break and allowing yourself a rest is really, really a beautiful gift. Another idea is a day at the spa. This could be maybe a bit bigger of a reward and treat or celebration, right? Maybe to celebrate something like an anniversary or a reward, you spend the day at the spa with friends or with your loved one, right? That you're celebrating with, or even just by yourself, right? Maybe you also have your eye on a new outfit. Right? I know I personally never, ever go clothing shopping. So that to me would be something that would feel a bit special, right? Like, oh, I'm going to buy myself, a new pair of boots that I need, or, a new winter jacket or something that just feels like maybe you don't really need it, but you kind of really want it. And, it just makes you feel better as well. So those things are beautiful. Another really small one to add to the smaller list of treats and rewards, but also something that I personally love is buying myself new tea. Like a new specialty loose leaf tea. We have a local tea company here on Vancouver Island called West Home Tea. Shout out to anybody who's listening from the island. I know that they distribute their teas all over the place, so you can find them. But they make amazing quality tea, and it's really such a beautiful gift to myself sometimes when I'll go to the farmer's market and I'll buy a new blend, right? I'll buy something that, I'm going to try this new blend of theirs. And that like feels really luxurious to me and really special. So there's all sorts of little things like that you could buy yourself if you want if you want to have that part of it. Obviously, you don't need to reward or celebrate with money at all. Okay. It can be about experiences. It can be about, buying little things here and there. I love going to this metaphysical store that we have and buying myself, like, maybe a new gem for my altar. One of the things that's actually on my celebration list right now is to buy a crystal singing bowl. Oh, it's on the list. It's on the list. They're not cheap. And I'm going to attach that to something that I want to reward myself in a bigger way with. And then I'm going to go out and buy myself that crystal singing bowl. So what are some things that, you've been wanting? Maybe it's a new yoga mat or a meditation cushion or some things that are actually going to treat and support your goals and your connection with yourself and your health and all these things as well. So those can be really beautiful when you intertwine them. So I also mentioned this games night, right? This is free to host at your night, at your house with your friends, right? Host a games night. That's also something that I'm doing for my birthday. The Saturday after my birthday, I'm having all my closest friends come over and we're just having a really fun games night. Probably go in the sauna, have a bonfire, just spend time together. And for me, that is the best way to celebrate. Taking a trip. I'm also doing that, right? Taking a trip, allowing yourself, whether it's solo by yourself or with other people. Maybe you want to go and spend the night at a hotel in the big city, right? And just have a night out with yourself or with a girlfriend. Or maybe you want to go on a longer trip, right? Take a week-long road trip vacation and Airbnb hop, right? Exploring new things. I think a big part of like the treating and rewarding lists and conversation is about doing something that's out of the ordinary, doing something that you don't necessarily do every day. Which is funny that we would tie that in with sugar because we do that all the time. Most people, right, are doing that all the time, using sugar all the time. So the end of every meal, right, in every snack. So it's actually, when you think about it, it's actually not that special. It's not occasional and unique. And maybe it is. Maybe you are at the place on your journey where that is and you don't eat sugar, which is fantastic. And you can still start adding in these new tips, these new ways of loving yourself, essentially. I mean, that's what we're really after here is how can I show myself love? And for me, another idea, another one to add to the list for me is my garden. Having a garden, like building a garden, buying new seeds for different varieties of vegetables that I want to grow, and actually spending time in the garden is a huge gift for me. And what a beautiful treat and reward after a long, hard day, at work, right? Is to get out in the garden and just be connected with the earth in that way. And maybe you also want to go to ceremonies or book yourself into a retreat or buy a sauna. We just did that. That was a huge reward for a year well done at the end of last year. We bought a sauna and it was the best investment ever. Definitely not cheap, but it was a big celebration and a big reward for us. And, these things, when you attach them, and this is where I want to come back to, it's really all about being intentional. Okay. So as you're doing these things throughout your day, right? Spending time in your garden, going on a trip, getting a massage, see if you can tie those in with the energy of rewarding yourself, right? The energy of celebrating something that maybe you're celebrating, right? And start bringing that energy and that connection with those actions or purchases in your life, right? And start looking, like I said, for ideas that are free, some that are medium investment, and some that are maybe a higher investment, right? And start those lists. And over time, you're going to keep building on those lists, right? You're going to keep them handy. And every time you feel like, hey, I want to celebrate or, I want to treat and reward myself, what am I going to do? And eventually, hopefully, you get to the place where, like me, your go-to is something that nourishes your soul, right? Like my go-tos for rewards and celebrating are trips and adventures, retreats, coaching programs, like my own learning and growth, investing in ceremonies and circles and saunas, things that like really fuel my spiritual growth and my soul at a really deep level. That is treating yourself, in my opinion. That is like the real juiciness of life. And these things that often maybe we wouldn't spend money on, that now, we're attaching with this beautiful sense of, no, this is a loving act. This is a loving choice and investment that I'm making in myself. So I hope that you start doing that. I hope that, I know I just shared a few quick and dirty ideas, but the lists are huge. When you actually start asking yourself that open-ended question, right? So be careful about the language you use. This isn't about, oh, there's nothing that I like to treat myself with other than sugar, right? Don't shut yourself down. Just continue asking the open-ended question. What other ways can I treat and reward myself? What other ways do I feel celebrated? And just listen. Just start listening to what comes up. And every day you might get you might be, out driving and something pops into your head and you go, oh, that one, I'm going to write that down, right? There's going to be, a new book. That's a great one as well too. See, that just popped into my head. Investing in buying yourself a new book that you've wanted to buy, right? These things can be small or free, but still can feel special if you bring that energy into it. So I hope that this really plants a lot of seeds for you. And I hope that you're really going to start reflecting on how you celebrate, how you reward yourself. I know I've posed a lot of questions to you in this episode, and I hope from the bottom of my heart that you actually sit down with those questions and tune in with those questions. Put your phone in the other room and bring your journal and really just spend time seeing what comes up, right? And starting these beautiful new go-to lists that you're going to have handy and be able to use every single day when you want to treat yourself for a job well done today, right? Or when you want to curl up at the end of the day on the couch and just feel whatever you want to feel, you're going to start building in these more fulfilling emotional ways of supporting yourself. So have fun with it. Be curious. And start paying attention, bringing that awareness in your day-to-day, right? How you're rewarding other people in your life, how they're rewarding you, and start having those beautiful conversations, right? A lot of it is being able to converse like, hey, I no longer want to celebrate my birthday with cake. I want to do this, right? I want to go on a trip or just have everybody over for a games night or go spend the day at the spa. So we have to communicate this oftentimes to people in our lives that are also in this patterning of celebrating and treating and rewarding with sugar, right? So we need to, if there's other people that need to be involved, please have those conversations. And it's actually really eye-opening to ask other people as well and to start this conversation. How else do you like to reward yourself that doesn't involve food, right? And you might get some really good ideas by having those conversations. So I hope this is a conversation starter, not just for yourself, but for other people in your life, that you can really bring this in and have a really insightful, deeper dive into some of these very strong patterns that are driving us on a daily basis to reach for sugar. So you don't have to do that anymore. You can repattern this, and it really just starts today with the homework that I've given you. So have fun with it. And thank you again for tuning into another episode. We'll see you next week when I'm a whole year older, and I can't wait. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.